Hello everyone, so in today's video let's create futuristic sci-fi looking headphones here in Maya. So to get this done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this base head from sort of a stylized female head character, and this is something that I'm going to include this link in the description so you can grab this head as well, and we can maybe so this way you can follow my video and we kind of have the same scale and all of that. So you're welcome to grab it. You're also welcome to do anything you would like with it. It's completely 100% royalty free. All right, so here I am in Maya, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the character's head is positioned right in the center. This way, when I built the headphones, you can see that it's going to be, the ear is kind of aligned with the center line here. And this is going to be easier for us to maintain and snap onto the grid and all of that. All right, very cool. All right, so let's get started. So to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this torus here. And I do want to point out, as I usually do, in my create polygon primitives, I have something called interactive creation clicked on, which means I have to manually drag my shapes. If you don't have that on, when you click on any of these primitive shapes, they'll just pop in existence. So keep that in mind. Not sure if you want to turn that on or if you want to manually scale them, but I like to scale them as I draw them on my grid. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to make my torus kind of puffy, so this is going to be the cushion part of the headphones, and holding down the J key, I'm going to snap it, let's snap it 90 degrees, right, so it's nice and straight. And let's see, so the first thing I would like to do is let's go ahead and scale this in, and if we wanted to, we can hold down the X key and just snap it right in the center line here, and kind of maybe place it in position. I'm not gonna put it all the way down yet, or all the way in yet, because I would like to build maybe the inside speaker part as well. So for that, let's just grab a box and draw a box right there on the grid. I'm gonna go to mesh, and I'm gonna do a smooth, and I'm gonna do my divisions levels to level 3. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to simply scale this in just like this, and then I'm going to hold down the X key and also snap it right in the onto the center line. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this in just like this into the headphone. And the cool thing about this is that you can see if I take this cushion part and maybe just make it a little bit thinner, you can see that when I align both of these shapes together, inside there's the portion that could be used as a speaker. So if you bring this into Substance Painter, you can actually paint some little speakers in there. So you have the speaker, you got the cushion, and then you got the outside of the headphone, and here we can create some fun detail, right? So let's maybe go ahead and do that. So one of the things we could do is let's turn off our symmetry for now, and I'm just gonna grab this entire loop right here. Okay, I'm gonna press extrude, and I'm just gonna push this whole thing in just like this. And my intention is to make the inner part right there to be glowing. So I think that would be a really neat effect. Next, let's go ahead and grab all of these edges here, these outside edges. Holding down the shift key, I can select this edge as well. And let's do a bevel, and let's maybe just bevel it just a little bit. I'm going to do 0.3. Another thing we can do, keep in mind, we can always select both of these shapes and press 3, and that's going to give you a really beautiful preview of what the shapes are looking like, especially if you just simply want to render them here in Maya, right? So keep that in mind as well. I'm going to press 1 to go back into my kind of a low poly modeling mode. And the next thing I would like to do is maybe let's add something interesting to put right here on the outside part of our our headphones, right? So for this, maybe let's grab something like the cylinder. Let's draw a cylinder out, and let's make it something like this. I'm gonna go to my poly cylinder in the attribute editor, and I'm just gonna turn off my subdivision caps, and I'm gonna turn off my subdivision axes here from 20 to maybe, we'll do something like 35. Okay. Another thing I could do is let's right click and go to face and delete the interface there. Okay. Grab this guy, hold down the J key and snap it. Let's go ahead and snap it 90 degrees. Go to transformation, hold down the X key and snap this to the middle line. And let's just kind of pull this in and start maybe designing some, maybe some interesting detail. We can figure out what scale we want, maybe something like this. We can also grab this face here and maybe do something like this. So there's no rules, right? Just having fun kind of concepting. So another thing we could do is if I raise this up, maybe we can grab this edge here. Let's do extrude. Let's extrude this up just like that. I'm gonna do another extrude, and I'm gonna pull it this way towards the head, towards this shape here. And now what we could do is we can let's grab our transformation tool and just simply pull this in so it looks like it's going inside. All right, that's really cool. Now we definitely can't, we don't want to leave all of this like this, right? So let's do this. Let's delete this guy here. Now keep in mind, if you wanted to, you always have an option of selecting something like this and then going to edit mesh and doing a poke, which is gonna meet at the center, right? So keep that in mind. You always have that option as well. In my case, I think I'm gonna press delete. Let's go ahead and undo and then press delete. And then what I would like to do is I'm gonna grab all of these faces, do an extrude, and let's go ahead and switch to scale mode and just pull them in. Maybe like this, then do another extrude and maybe pull them down. Do another extrude and I'm gonna switch to scale and just pull them in. All right, so I'm just trying to create kind of an interesting detail inside the headphone. Just a preference, right? So just kind of having fun. Maybe do something like that. We can switch to our main scale here and go like this. And now what we could do is we could go ahead and go to, let's go to mesh, let's do a fill hole. And now this is probably the good time to also, let's go ahead and poke it. So we have something like that. All right, so let's pull out and take a look. I think that's really fun and interesting, right? We can always grab some of these really sharp edges. Maybe let's go ahead and grab this one, and maybe these. And let's do a bevel. And I would like to do kind of a really tiny bevel, so it maintains the edge, but it's still kind of sharp, right? All right, really cool. Let's go ahead and select these and do a 3 so we can take a look and see what that looks like. Lots of fun. My imagination is going wild. If I flip it this way, it could almost be kind of like a UFO if you squish it. There's so many fun things you can do with this. But all right, right now let's focus. We're doing the headphones. Another thing we could do is let's select all of these edges here. I'm going to select every other one, holding down the shift key. I'm just going around and simply clicking on this kind of a cushion part, right? And let's go do something like this. Now if we grab our scale, we can scale this in, and that's gonna be really interesting because we can create almost kind of a wobbly feel, right? So instead of being perfectly smooth, we could do something like that. Another thing we could do if we didn't like this, we could do a bevel, and then add another segment inside, right? And now if we go through and select those segments that were just created, let's go around and select them really quick. Just like that. Now I'm going to grab my scale tool and scale this part in. And you can see how it's almost creating like a air bubbles of some sort. So you can decide which way you want to go. You can go out if you're looking for something alien looking, or you can go inside, and that's going to be more of a, again, like a air bubble, which I kind of like. I think that's looks really awesome, especially for kind of a futuristic headphone. I think that looks awesome. Let's see, so what else can we do? Let's go ahead and maybe grab all of these and combine them into one, and we can clear our history. And now what we should do is let's move this into position a little bit better. So I'm gonna obviously cover the ear. If we wanted to, we could make it just a little bit larger so it covers the ear a little bit better, right? So something like that. Technically I could turn this to make it fit a little better, but I'm not gonna do that yet, because I really do want to maintain sharp, straight angles, right, while we're still building. So I'm gonna select this, and I'm gonna click on this button right here, mirror geometry across to the other side. So now I have two of them. All right, really nice. Now let's connect both of these with sort of like almost like a bridge. So I'm going to select both of these shapes. I'm going to merge them into one and clear my history. I'm going to go to face mode, and let's just pick a part of the headphone that we want to use kind of for our connection, right? So maybe something in this space should work. I can always turn on my symmetry, make sure that I'm doing it on both sides. And of course, let's do an extrude and pull this. I'm going to pull this in just a little bit, then I'm going to pull this down. All right, now I'm going to do another extrude and pull them in a little more. And let's go ahead and do another extrude, and this time I'm going to pull something out, right? So I have something like this, and I want to do another extrude and then pull this part out. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this piece here, do another extrude and pull this up. Now let's grab our transformation tool and use that as kind of the bridge between the two. Okay, and we can shape this a little more in a little bit, but for now let's just make the connection. So to make the connection between these two, I'm going to press delete, right click, go to edge. I'm going to double click to select the edges on both sides, and then I'm going to click this bridge tool. Then I'm going to switch the curve type to blend and add more divisions, right? So let's go ahead and give us enough divisions where it doesn't look too, we do want to make it look kind of smooth, right? So let's do something like 22, for example. I think makes sense. Now the reason the green color came in is because Maya can't find the material that is being used to create the new geometry. So all you need to do is just simply select your shape, right click, do assign existing, and just simply reassign the material that is currently assigned to the other pieces. If you're not sure what that material is, you can always right click and go to material attributes, and that's going to tell you what the name is. So in my case, you can see it's called standard surface 1, which means if I select the entire shape and then right click and go to existing and then select standard surface 1, it's gonna apply the same material to the green pieces as well. So that's important, right? All right, very cool. So another thing we could do is let's maybe make this shape a little more interesting. So I'm gonna grab these top pieces here. Let's go ahead and grab, maybe I'm gonna grab 5 here, and let's just also grab maybe 5 here as well. Now we could grab our scale tool and let's just scale this out to make it, you know, looks like it's grabbing the top of her head. And I think that's really cool. Another thing we can do is let's grab all of these guys here. And actually, you know what? I'm going to select this shape and isolate it. Now if I right click, go to face mode, let's select the bottom as well. Holding down the shift key, you can select all of these faces. Let's also grab the edges as well, the end pieces. And I'm going to do extrude. And I'm just going to pull this, all of this in. Something along these lines. Very nice. And now what we could do is let's press delete, and that's going to give us a really cool kind of an opening up there. Now if I double click on the bottom edge, hold down the shift key, click on the top edge and do a bridge, you can see that it's going to create a connection. Alright, really nice. Another thing we can do is maybe let's select these guys here, right? Let's do extrude. And let's go ahead and pull them in just a little bit, right? So it looks like maybe this has the ability to kind of retract into itself, right? To kind of make the adjustment for different size heads. And I just have to be careful not to go too much, but something along these lines looks nice. All right, so now we have this. And let's do something a little more interesting maybe here as well. So we can grab maybe these guys. Let's grab our scale tool, maybe scale this in, just make it a little more dynamic. We can do an extrude, pull these in, do another extrude and maybe push this in, do something like that. All right, that's interesting. Let's see, what else can we do? We can add maybe just a little more detail here as well. Maybe holding down the shift key, let's just go around and grab maybe these guys here. Let's do another extrude and kind of pull them out just a little bit to create just a little more kind of detail. I think that's nice. We can also grab all of these faces here, just like that. Let's do another extrude there and pull them out a little more. We can figure out if we want them in. Maybe it's actually looks even better if it's in. So just total you know, preference, creative preference, whatever you like. All right, so now we have something like this. Let's see, what else can we do? Let's bring our head back. So I'm going to jump out of the isolate mode and take a look. I definitely need them to fit a little more. A little better. So if we wanted to, you know, we don't have to use it for this character specifically, but if you did want to adjust it, you could select maybe the center points, grab your rotation tool, and then press B on your keyboard, go into soft select, and what you want to do is just change the fall off radius to kind of include all of this whole piece here, and just very slowly just move it down, right? So it kind of fits a little bit better. If you needed to, you can even rotate it a little. That's fine. We could do that. So I think that's pretty cool. Very nice. Let's see, what else can we do? So this is a kind of a sci-fi futuristic headset. So maybe we can also include maybe a little, maybe there's like a little antenna here on the side that's coming out. So let's just grab a box and make like a little antenna coming out. So I'm gonna do something like this. Go like this, and let's select this face here. I'm gonna press B on my keyboard to jump out of the soft select. Maybe do something like that and push this in. All right, let's go ahead and go into object mode, and let's just align it with the top of the headset. I mean the headphone. So maybe this antenna piece could be kind of living somewhere here. I'm going to rotate this and move it into position. I can move it down. All right, I think that's neat. So another thing we could do is maybe grab this guy. Let's do another extrude. Do something like this, and then extrude one more time, and maybe pull this out and maybe scale this in so it really does look like a little antenna. If we wanted to, we can also let's grab this and that and do another extrude and maybe pull these in, and I'm gonna press delete. Go to edges. Let's select both of these edges and do a bridge. Very cool. All right, so now I have like a little antenna sticking out on the side. I think that looks interesting. And what else can we do? Well, if we wanted to, we could give her a little mouthpiece, but I think I'm going to let you guys do the rest. The only other thing that I would like to do is let's just quickly apply some material so we can see how this is looking as a render, right? So if you select the entire thing, you can select this piece here, and let's do a combine and clear the history. And the outliner, you can see that now I'm left just with one. I could call it headset if I wanted to, or headphones. If I could spell, that would be great. Headphones. Okay. If you select it and press 3, you can see how amazing that looks. I think that looks really cool. If it starts to, if you don't like how some of the edges are being smooth, right? Obviously that just means you need to create more edge loops. So if you wanted to create more edge loops, you can use the bevel, or you can do, or you can go to insert edge loop, go to options and just create a bunch of edge loops. So let's just give you an example. So let's say, for example, you want to hold, you know, I want to hold the top of this here, right? I can, for example, select all of these. I could do a bevel, maybe make it really tight. I can even add another segment inside, right? And now, obviously, if you go to object mode and select your headphone and press 3, you can see that it's being, that it's holding the edge a lot better, right? And then if you wanted to retain kind of the square look, then you have to add another edge on each side of this shape as well, right? So let's just do that real quick as well. So I'm going to select pretty much all the corners, and let's do another bevel, and let's just do it kind of tight. And again, if I select it and press 3, you can see how it's maintaining that sharp look, right? And of course it's pulling in inside there because I didn't add an edge in there as well, right? So if I go to 1, you can see that this piece here doesn't have an edge, right? So if I grab these and do another bevel, right click, press 3, you can see the difference, right? So it's totally up to you depending on what you're going for, what your poly count needs to be and all of that. But that's how you would kind of maintain and hold some of those edges, right? Like this guy here, for example, definitely needs to kind of hold this edge here. So let's go ahead and do that. I make it really small and press 3, and you can see now I have like a little edge there, right? All right, next let's go ahead and just apply some fun materials so we can see how this is looking if we actually render this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this headphone. I'm going to right click and do assign favorites. I'm going to do AI standard surface and just do apply. And I'm going to do, let's do a preset, and maybe the outside of the headphone could be plastic. So I'm just going to select plastic and do a replace. All right. And next what I could do is I definitely don't see this being plastic, so I need to turn my lights on, right? So I'm going to select this and let's turn the lights on, and you can see now it looks more like a plastic, right? And the lights in here, you can see that I only have one sky dome light, and the sky dome light has one HDR assigned to it. So that's very easy, right? Just make sure you do Arnold, do lights, bring a sky dome light, and assign an HDRI image for your environment so you have a nice reflections. Okay, and now let's go ahead and keep going. So I'm going to go to my material attributes, and let's decide if we want the headphones to be you know, what color, right? I think for me, I actually don't mind this blue. I think that's a cool blue. We could increase the coat a little bit. You can see what that's doing. It's adding a little more kind of a wet, you know, reflection. I like that. Let's go ahead and select this guy here. This is going to be our cushion, right? So this part is going to need to be probably black. So I'm going to right click, do assign favorites. I'm going to do AI standard, and in here let's do a preset. Let's select rubber. That's fine. And for the rubber color, I think it should be almost kind of a black color, or kind of grayish black. I think that's nice. We could turn off our wireframe, and let's turn off the floor so we could see. Now keep in mind, this is just a preview in Maya, right? I'm not rendering this yet. So that's really cool. Another thing we could do is maybe this piece here. I'm gonna press 1 so I can see what's going on here. I think this piece here could all be black as well. So I'm just gonna, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select these guys here, hold down the shift key, and just draw my selection to both sides. And I'm gonna grow it all the way to include all of these pieces here, all the way to this thing here. And then let's do right click and do existing, assign existing. And my second one was called, my black material was called AI standard surface 6. So I'm gonna apply that, go to object mode. And now if I press 3 on the keyboard, I can see what that looks like. Very nice. I think it would be neat if this this guy here maybe was chrome. So let's select all of this here, and let's just keep growing the selection all the way to include this as well, right? And I'm gonna right click, do favorites, do another AI standard surface, do another preset, and this time I'm gonna select something called brushed metal and do a replace. Let's take a look. Alright, so now I have 3 materials kind of all being used in one headphone, right? So you got the rubber, you got the plastic, and you got the metal. The only other thing we could do is maybe let's select this one, and I'm gonna apply, maybe this could be chrome as well, which is 7. Nice. And now I just want to add maybe a little glow, right? So to do this, I'm going to select the inner part that I want glowing. And you know what? I would like this piece to be glowing as well. So I'm going to select camera based selection, hold down the shift key, and I'm going to select all of these guys here on both sides, right? Because my active symmetry is on. Now I'm going to right click, go to assign favorites. Let's do AI standard surface. And this time, let's just go to, let's decide what color light we want. Maybe it could be kind of an orange emission, right? So I'm going to select the base color to orange, which doesn't really do much except tell me that this is going to be my emission. But I do need to come down to emission and then do the same thing, kind of choose this red orange that I like and just pump up the weight. So the weight, I'm going to pump this up all the way to 15. And just see what that looks like, and maybe 10. And if we wanted to, we could just make it just a little more red, orangey. Now I can't really tell in the viewport. I need to render this out. All right, and here we are. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.